here for Testing123reviews at Guitar in Birmingham, and today I'm going to give you a run through of the Bogner Ecstasy 20th anniversary head. This is a 6L6 all valve amplifier as opposed to the standard Bogner Ecstasy which has EL34s. This is 3 channels. There are lots of knobs and switches on it, so I'll give you a run through of what all of those do, but straight out the box it sounds amazing. I'm going to be using this Tyler that I used for the Bogner Wibaut twin jet demo, and also my Les Paul Custom with the John Sear Doug Aldrich humbuckers. And this head is running through a Bogner 2x12 oversized cab with vintage 30s. Hope you enjoy. So I'm starting on the left side of the front panel of the Bogner Ecstasy 20th anniversary, and starting with channel 1 has gain, bass, middle, treble and volume controls. There is a 3-position pre-EQ switch which comes along over here. You've got a 3-way metal toggle switch, and starting in the middle position you have your normal sound, which is indicated by the letter N, and then B1, which is on the left, is bright 1, and then B2 is bright 2, which is even brighter than B1. The higher you set the gain control, the less effect the pre-EQ will have on the sound. This gives you almost infinite control over your pre-EQ level. Channel 1, much like channels 2 and 3, also has a boost switch which can be activated via the foot switch, which I'll give you a close-up in a minute. We also have a gain boost channel 1, so you can have low gain or high gain, which is this metal toggle switch here, which has an L indicating for low gain, and then H indicating for high gain. Moving on to channel 2. Now channel 2 and 3 share the same EQ sections, so all the treble, middle, bass, but they have individual gain knobs. They also feature the same pre-EQ selection, much like channel 1, so B1, N in the middle, and B2, which are on these 2 little toggle switch. So this pre-EQ channel 3 here, and pre-EQ channel 2 here. You also have the option to switch on plexi mode, which you can have on channel 2, or neither of them in the middle, or you can have it set on channel 3. So you can get that really great 60s crank Marshall tone that everybody loves. And you also have voicing for the gain structure, which is this little metal switch here. M is for modern and V is for vintage, so the vintage one you get a much more classic sort of crunchy rocky sound, and obviously modern you get more high gain territory, which is really useful. And on the left of the front panel you'll find 2 little switches called Excursion A and Excursion B. Excursion is the name for speaker cone travel and damping factor, which can be controlled via the switches. The Ecstasy offers you 3 options: T for tight, L for loose and M for medium. The tight setting will be more even from low string to high string, while the loose setting will give a much bigger bass sound. The medium position is a midway switch between loose and tight. Notice to the right of Excursion B there is a switch called Presence Select B, which is this chap here, or Presence B Select. If you leave this switch on O, then Presence A and Excursion A will serve all 3 channels. If you have the option of assigning Presence B and Excursion B to channel 1 or channel 3, let's say you want a very funky, bright, clean, not too much bottom, but you want also a huge slamming lead with tons of bottom. It's simple. Set Excursion A to L for loose, set Presence A wherever it sounds good for channels 2 and 3, switch Presence B, select to channel 1 and set Excursion B to tight. Whatever channel is assigned to Presence or Excursion and Excursion B, the other 2 channels will be governed by Presence and Excursion A. Hopefully that makes sense to you, because I'm scratching my head right here. I'm going to give you a close-up of the foot switch and then I'll move on to the back panel. So this is the foot switch for the Bogner Ecstasy 20th anniversary. On the left we have channel 1 to channel 2, channel 3, and also a standby switch, which is nice and useful. You have a boost 2 to boost your lead sounds, also a boost 1 to boost your clean channel, and also a loop button to activate the effects loop, which at the moment is disengaged. So let's have a look at the back panel. So we're starting on the left side of the back panel of the Bogner 20th Anniversary Ecstasy. Here we have an effects loop, which I've got my carbon copy analog delay plugged into. We've got an effects mix level there, and we can select between we've got a little mode switch here, so we can select between series or parallel. Parallel is when the switch is out, and series is when it's pushed in. And here we have an individual line out control section for each channel. Moving on, we've got the remote control, which is the input for the foot switch, and we've got sound style, which switches between old and new. This control functions as a pentode/triode selector. In new position, the Ecstasy's power section is operating in pentode, which means all elements within the power tubes are working. In the old or triode mode, only 3 out of 5 elements within each tube are working. This cuts power, but it also smooths and sweetens the sound, and of course limits headroom. Triode mode is more sensitive to imbalances, and if you hear a slight hum, it is probably the result of the power amp tubes. And we have our speaker outputs. You also have the option to run this on full or half power, which is very useful. And we have an on switch on the back. So I've done enough talking, and I'm going to get on with some playing, so check out the next part.